who's actually going to get the most out of Samsung's RF80H30CER French door built-in fridge, who should walk away, and does the price make sense for a typical household? If you've ever stood in front of a grocery store freezer wondering whether the extra ice maker options or the camera that shows you what's inside are worth the extra square footage, you're not alone. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's dig into the everyday reality of putting a 29 cubic foot smart refrigerator into a kitchen that already feels cramped, and see whether the hype lines up with real-world use. First off, the biggest hesitation most buyers have is the built-in promise. A built-in unit sounds sleek, but it also means you're committing to a cutout in your cabinetry, a professional install, and a piece of equipment that won't simply roll out when you need a quick swap. In a kitchen where every inch matters, the zero-clearance design is supposed to be the answer. Samsung markets it as a way to fit into tight spaces without the usual gap between the fridge and the surrounding cabinets. In practice, that means the side panels line up flush with the countertop and the adjoining wall, which is a genuine win if you've spent months trying to hide an oversized appliance behind a narrow gap. The trade-off is that you lose that flexibility. If you ever decide to move the fridge, you're looking at a minor demolition job rather than a simple pull-out. The Auto View camera is the feature that most people talk about when they first see a Samsung smart fridge. A small interior camera snaps a picture each time you close the door, then pushes the image to the family hub screen or your phone. For a busy family juggling school lunches, work meals, and weekend barbecues, that visual inventory can stop the "did we already buy milk" loop at the grocery store. I've watched a couple of households use it to keep track of fresh produce, taking a quick glance at their phone while loading the car. It's a genuine time saver, especially when you have a habit of opening the door to look for something and then letting cold air escape. The downside? The camera can be a little finicky in low-light conditions, sometimes showing a blurry image that forces you to open the fridge anyway. It also adds a layer of software that occasionally needs an update. Nothing catastrophic, but it's another thing to keep in mind if you're not comfortable with a bit of tech maintenance. Now let's talk ice. The RF80H30CER offers up to 4 ice types: cubed, crushed, nugget, and a slush option for smoothies or cocktail mixers. That's a level of convenience you normally only see in premium countertop units. For a family that regularly entertains, having a dedicated nugget ice bin for kids' drinks and a crushed ice tray for weekend margaritas eliminates the need for separate appliances. In a real-world test, the ice maker kept up with a household that used 2 to 3 cubit loads per day without any noticeable lag. However, the trade-off is space. The multiple ice bins eat into freezer capacity, so if you're a freezer-heavy shopper, think bulk buy meat, frozen meals, or a large collection of ice cream, the freezer side can feel cramped after a few weeks. The 29 cubic foot volume sounds generous, but it's easy to misinterpret what that actually means in daily life. The fridge side is about 16.5 inches wide, 70 inches tall, and 35 inches deep, which translates into a roomy door shelf layout for drinks, condiments, and a decent amount of fresh produce. The freezer, however, is split into 2 side-by-side sections rather than a single deep drawer, making it less ideal for stacking large frozen trays. If you're a family of 4 that does weekly grocery trips and likes to keep a rotating stock of veggies and meats, the refrigerator side will feel just right. If you're a single or a couple that primarily eats fresh and only occasionally freezes leftovers, you'll end up with a lot of unused cubic footage and a higher price tag than a standard freestanding model would demand. Speaking of price, Samsung's built-in French door models sit in the premium bracket. The RF80H30CER isn't the cheapest option in the market, and the cost isn't just the unit itself. It includes the installation, potential modifications to your cabinetry, and a learning curve for the smart features. For a buyer who values the aesthetic of a seamless kitchen and the convenience of Auto View, the cost can be justified. For someone who is primarily price-driven or who prefers the flexibility of moving a fridge later, the expense quickly becomes a drawback. One practical strength that often gets overlooked is the energy efficiency rating. While Samsung doesn't advertise a specific Energy Star number on this page, the 29 cubic foot class typically lands in the mid-range for power draw. In a home where the fridge runs 24/7, that translates into a noticeable portion of the electric bill. Users who have installed the fridge in a well-insulated kitchen with a stable ambient temperature report that the unit doesn't overcycle, which helps keep energy usage down. On